Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over your next winter storm, which is going to be moving throughout parts of the northern plains into the Great Lakes and then parts of the interior northeast as well. And we're also going to be quickly talking about that severe weather threat that we mentioned yesterday and that we had a whole video on yesterday. We're going to be briefly covering that today as well, and talking about what you could be expecting in the Tennessee Valley. Mainly the biggest threats are going to be wind threats and also some flash flooding potential with this event. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more in today's video, but let's get right into it. And you can tell the National Weather Service page with the watches and warnings is definitely much more active than it was just yesterday. So we have a lot more warnings and watches up currently. We have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up for parts of the Northwest, and then this little band from Wyoming and Montana eastward to Wisconsin is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We have winter weather advisories, even a few counties under some winter storm warnings in that band, and then in that dark blue, that's where you have those winter storm watches. We also have some winter weather advisories for parts of northern Maine, much of New Hampshire, parts of southern Vermont, and some of the higher elevations of upstate New York. We also have some wind advisories and high wind warnings for the desert southwest and some red flag warnings in effect for parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and Colorado. We have some air quality alerts, I believe, for parts of the central and southern plains, as well as for parts of the central Gulf states. We have flood watches for that severe weather event in parts of the Tennessee Valley, and that's all in that dark green, as well as for a little area in eastern Nebraska. But other than that, we don't have any other watches or warnings currently. Your high temperature for the entire continental United States yesterday was 8 miles southeast of Pharr, Texas. They got to negative or positive 93 degrees Fahrenheit, and the low temperature was tied between two areas in northwestern Maine. Big Black River, Maine, they got to negative 19 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as 11 miles northwest of Clayton Lake, Maine. They also got to negative 19 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest precipitation or rainfall report was in Lake Creek, Texas. They got 3.68 inches of rainfall, and the highest snowfall report was 20 miles north of Roslyn, Washington, where they got 20 inches of snowfall. That's in the higher elevations of the Cascades in Washington. So let's start discussing this severe weather threat for today and into tomorrow. So this is what the Storm Prediction Center is calling for in terms of the risks. On the top left, that's where we have your categorical risk. So we have a marginal risk that spans from about Oklahoma up through Kentucky and Tennessee. Really, we don't have too much of an issue with any tornado threat. We do have a very low chance of tornadoes. We have some chance of some very small hail, but the bigger threat is going to be, of course, flash flooding with this event, because we're dealing with an east-west band of straight line storms that are going to be moving through and kind of just stalling through some of these same areas. Well, you can see that we have that 2% chance of tornado risk right around the Mississippi River in Arkansas and Missouri, and then even pushes up into parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. We have that hail risk. We have a 5% chance of hail occurring over some of these areas from Kentucky and Tennessee all the way back to Oklahoma. And then also we have a 5% chance of wind damage within these regions in that green shaded area from Kentucky and Tennessee all the way back to Oklahoma. That's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing for today. Here's for tomorrow, and we're looking at that marginal risk shifting down a little bit. You can see that now it's in parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, and a little bit of Texas as well. You have a wider area of tornado risk, and I think as you get into tomorrow, that's when the tornado risk of EF0, maybe a weak EF1 tornadoes start to go up a little bit as we get more sporadic storms instead of just a line of thunderstorms. We also do have a small area of hail risk as well as a larger area of some wind damage risk for tomorrow. So overall, it's going to be quite a minor event in terms of the actual severe weather. So not too many tornadoes, not much hail, but what you will be dealing with is more of that flash flooding threat, and I think that's going to be the biggest threat. So here's what the Weather Prediction Center has for the chances of excessive rainfall or flash flooding. Now, we have a 5 to 10% chance in that green, and then a 10 to 20% chance or a slight risk in the yellow shade. So you can see that yellow shade is where they think that the highest chance of that occurring is from northern Kentucky all the way to southeastern Missouri. And then if we continue this to the next day, so that was for today, here's for tomorrow and into Monday morning, we're looking at that slight risk getting much wider from West Virginia down to Louisiana is where we have that slight risk of a 10 to 20% chance of seeing some flash flooding, and even that marginal risk, which is a 5% plus chance of flash flooding, goes all the way up into Pennsylvania and as far south as Texas there. Now let's start talking about that snowstorm in parts of the northern plains and into the Great Lakes, and this is going to be more of one of those quick moving events, although some areas could be getting as much as 6 inches of snowfall. We're going to have your snowfall forecast at the end of today's video. So here it be by right around 12 p.m. today. I'm recording this right around 10 a.m. In the morning Eastern Time, 10 in the morning Eastern Time, 9 in the morning Central Time. So this is generally when I'm recording it, so it's about an hour or two ahead of when this video is going to be uploaded and when you guys will start to see this. We're dealing with some scattered snow showers back through South Dakota and Wyoming. I'm going to be using the NAM model a lot more, especially if it does do quite well with this event as well, because it has been doing very, very well with the snow system. So I'm just going to keep on relying on it until it does eventually fail with one of these storms. But overall, it has been doing very, very well, and I think it's probably one of the more accurate models in the short range as of right now. So we start to see this low pressure move out of Kansas, and we also have a fairly weak high pressure, or it is actually a fairly strong one, but it is pushed so far to the north that the effects of it are quite weak. So it's kind of moving through parts of North Dakota, northern Minnesota, pressing into the northern plains, and that's supplying just enough cold air that it's going to allow the system to move to the north, but it will also keep all the precipitation, snow for many of these areas right within this zone. So you have a pretty good setup if you live within that circled area right there, and let's just time it out. Let's see what the NAM model does with this. So you can see that it really starts to get going by right around 6 p.m. Central Time today, and we're dealing with some scattered snow or rain showers back through Nebraska and South Dakota. And then if you continue this forward, you're going to see that low pressure continues to head further north and east. At this point, we actually have, you could say, 3 low pressures. We have one down here. You could even say we have 4. So we have 2 down here. We have another one back up here that's trying to form, and then one more back through here. So we actually have 4 low pressures that you could identify on a surface map if this were to be the case. So we have a fairly disorganized system, but that's going to be allowing it to move further north and east. It's going to have quite a bit of energy out of the southern United States. All that warm moist air is going to be shoved further to the north. And by the way, this system is why we have this flash flooding threat for the Tennessee Valley. All of this is interconnected, and they all are playing a part into that flash flooding threat and also into this snowfall threat. So this would be by Sunday or tomorrow, right around 12 in the morning. We're dealing with moderate to steady snow over parts of Minnesota, southern South Dakota as well, and now it's starting to creep into parts of northern Wisconsin. So here's where your low pressure is. It's now in parts of Minnesota, Iowa, even moving a little bit further south into Missouri and Illinois, and then it's going to continue to push further north into the east. Watch out for some slick roads if you live within this area, because we could be dealing with a little bit of freezing rain, and that could also that's always a big threat, especially even it's actually more of a threat than even any amount of snowfall, really, because freezing rain, you can't really see it on the roadways, and it can really make travel very, very hard and make the roadways very, very slick. So you want to be careful, even though it just looks like a little bit of freezing rain. Even a little bit can cause some big issues. So watch out if you live within that freezing rain zone. And then that system heads further to the north and to the east. I'm gonna have to watch how far south this snow line can get, whether it can actually make its way all the way down to about Green Bay itself, or whether it stays just north of there. So we're gonna have to watch. There are some big cities in the way of this event: Minneapolis, Green Bay, some of the other cities in this area. So we definitely do have to watch it. There is a big population within this zone of heavy snowfall. And then as we move through the day on Sunday, so this would be right around noon time on Sunday, Central Time, we're looking at more of that snow, actually fairly heavy snowfall back through the UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, and it's going to continue to head further eastward. Let's zoom into the northeast. This is where it's going to be mostly a rain event, but some of these areas further to the north, into the parts of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and maybe even into a little bit of upstate New York might get in on some of these snowfall. So it starts out as some broken showers, rain, maybe a little bit of freezing rain mixed in there as well in some of those colder, higher elevation regions. And then it starts to move over to a little bit of snowfall as you get back through parts of northern Maine, northern New Hampshire. And then as you continue this forward, you do start to see more of that steady, moderate to heavy snowfall by Monday morning, moving through parts of northern Maine. And you might still see a few lingering showers back through the day on Monday. We do want to watch out for some persistent snow showers moving through parts of upstate New York and southern Vermont as well. So that might add up to maybe half an inch, maybe even up to an inch of snowfall. We're really going to have to watch out closely for that. So here's what the NAM model is showing for this event. This snowfall, most of this is actually from a different event. So generally it's going to be a 1 to 3 inch event from this particular system. We have another system moving in later today and into early tomorrow, and that's going to be what's bringing the 6+ inch amounts for parts of northern Maine. So just generally, it's going to be a 1 to 3 inch event in the interior northeast, and mainly a 3 to about 7 inch event in parts of the northern plains. And yes, there could be a few areas that get over 6 inches of snowfall. Here's what the European model is showing with this event. We have some heavier amounts back through and closer to Lake Superior, and then also for parts of southwestern Minnesota, a lot of models have been highlighting a 5+ inch area for that region, so we will want to watch out for that. And then of course it shows that 1 to 3 inch area for the interior northeast. Again, that's including a couple other systems that are going to be moving through later today, and that's going to be adding to some of those totals. Here's what the GFS is showing, and we see that it's also actually showing fairly similar to what the NAM and the European model were showing. It's just a little bit further to the north. We see some 4 to 6 inch amounts generally for parts of northern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, even a little bit of Iowa and South Dakota there, and then back through into parts of the UP of Michigan. So here's what the Weather Prediction Center is showing for the 75th percentile of snowfall accumulation. Their 50th percentile, I noticed that it was fairly low, and I think their 75th percentile is much closer to what I think is actually going to happen. And they have on the 75th percentile, which in their mind means that there's 25% chance that this overperforms what you're seeing on the screen. There's a 75% chance it underperforms. I like to look at the 75th percentile more as an accurate guess of what they're going to see, because they usually do underdo most of these snow amounts, especially on the 50th percentile. So anyways, I'm looking at on this map, they are showing 2 to 4 inches anywhere in that kind of medium shade of green right here. So that spans from Wyoming all the way up to northern Michigan, and then you even have some 4 to 6 inch amounts in the dark green, and then even a 6+ inch, 6 to 8 inch amount for some of these areas in the UP of Michigan. So from lake effect enhanced snowfall, you could also see a little bit of 6+ inch amounts for some of those areas. We do have to watch out for that, and that's also a potential. So here's my snowfall forecast for this event: under an inch of snowfall for many areas in the northern plains and back through the Great Lakes, as well as a little area for the interior northeast. I also have a 1 to 3 inch area for parts of South Dakota, Wyoming, back through parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I also have parts of southern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northern Maine under that 1 to 3 inch area. Most of those areas, I think it'll be between half an inch and 1.5 inches of snowfall. So not a lot of snowfall either way. It's mainly just going to be a quick dusting and coating of fairly heavy wet snowfall. So luckily you're not seeing too much of that because that that can definitely be a very a pain to really shovel away, because your temperatures will be right around 34-35 degrees even in some of those areas while it is still snowing. And then here's that 3 to 6 inch area, and you can see from southern South Dakota in through southern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and into the UP of Michigan. That's where I'm looking at 3+ inches, and even a few areas that I think could get over 6 inches. And for these areas, it's more going to be 5 to 7 inches of snowfall. But if any areas were to get 6+ inches, here's where I think it would be. It would be in some of the higher elevations in western South Dakota, as well as for that one area in southwestern Minnesota, probably closer to 5 to 7 inches for those areas. And then for the UP of Michigan and extreme north central Wisconsin, maybe some 6+ inch amounts through there, especially if some of the lake effect goes on the back end of this. You could actually see some additional amounts on top of that. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.